Hi guys, it's Arsene here, and today I want to discuss a very interesting topic, and actually, to be honest with you, a personal topic to me, which is honesty and transparency superpowers, especially how this applies to me as a person and also how I use it in business as well. Why this is one of the reasons why we have so good retention rate for our clients, and why we don't lose clients because of the results or any of the important aspects that my company has, like for example the communication, the actual result, the values, why we don't have any problems with this with our clients. And I would want to raise this in the context of honesty and transparency today. And as I said, this topic is something that is personal to me for the reason that when I was teenager, I used to lie all the time in school and also sometimes at home as well. So cheating for me at school was something completely normal and usual. And to be honest with you, I was very good at this. So my success rate on cheating for on tests at different subjects, so with different teachers, it was very successful. I was able to adapt to different teachers, to different approaches that they have to be able to cheat on the tests. And obviously, I had a reason for this because I wanted to maximize the amount of time that I free up for myself by not doing the thing that I don't want to do, that I don't see the clear, like sort of long-term consequences of me doing this. I clearly, back then, I didn't really understand how understanding the fundamentals of different fields in life will result in me having the clear patterns in my mind that can apply to any endeavor that I see myself in the future. I didn't really have this long-term vision on why understanding the fundamentals is extremely important, and I clearly understood this only when I started paying money to mentors to explain this to me. But fundamentally, what I wanted to do is I wanted to maximize the time that I free up for myself, so this way I can do shit that I want. Normally back then it was just like playing video games and just doing some random stuff. And also, I've wanted to minimize the amount of stressful conversations at home because obviously my mom, she really wanted me to have good grades. It's probably like every single parent that focuses a lot on the education of a kid, especially through the traditional methods of doing that, which obviously we can argue if it's that effective or not nowadays. Specifically, what I wanted to raise here is that I clearly wanted to maximize the amount of time that I have and minimize the amount of stressful conversations that I have at home. And it clearly worked for me short term, but I didn't really see like a clear growth long term. So essentially, I was keeping the fundamentals and fooling myself doing this. One of the moments in my life that's stuck with me is probably when I was like 13 or probably like 14, and maybe something like this. When I was lying straight to my date's face. If I remember this clearly, it was probably like in the moment when I got some bad grades or anything like this, and it was very rare that my parents would do this, but they would sort of restrict me from using my computer. And this was done the way that it wasn't like a parental, like technically parental control thing installed on my PC to restrict me from doing this physically. It was mainly like sort of a psychological trap to say just to say to me that you can't really do this, and I couldn't really because I saw my parents as people who have the authority in the first place, and I respected them. So I couldn't really do this. But I remember one day I had like I had this restriction, and I got some good grades, and I decided to play this day. And I remember during the dinner, mom asks me like why this happens, and then I'm saying, but that it proved to me that I can do that. Like, you couldn't ever imagine the confusion that my dad had on his face during this time. And my dad is a very open to conversation and very calm person that always gives space. And it was like a big confusion on his face. Obviously, I'm glad that it didn't result in anything huge to our relationship. But what I want to drive home here is that the constant decision making like this resulted in me having internal dialogues with me, just reflecting on what is actually going on and if what I'm doing is actually impacting me positively. And the truth that I found for myself is that lying shuts doors. You can't really uh, improve yourself when you're doing something like this because you don't really admit the mistake. You close the door to fix it, to become better, and to actually improve in the first place. And that shift that I got in my mindset by then is changed how I look has changed how I look at the relationship aspects, not only in business but also in my family as well. And when I started freelancing when I was 16, quality and reputation mattered more to me than covering and lying about my mistakes. So I was very transparent with what I was doing with my clients, even back then. And this sort of transformed to me just having this pattern over and over and over again. And fast forward today, as I mentioned, that's why transparency and honesty are non-negotiables right now in my agency, in my business, because first of all, this allows me to be very calm, and it also allows me to have an internal peace, because I'm not trying to sort of hide anything from either my clients or potential clients. So this way, I'm clearly transparent about everything what is going on, and this way it gives me the ability and leverage to focus on what are the actual facts. And because when you have the facts, you're able to improve the situation, because you're able to work with either data, or just clear statements that are there, and you can actually change the situation. And when you're trying to cover this, it's way harder to deal with everything, because you also have to deal with the internal dialogue of being scared if anybody will know about. And this honesty and transparency thing, it resulted in me saying no to multiple potential clients that were actually a very good fit for me, or being transparent with the ones that weren't a good fit. So if I don't feel like there are the potential client is the actual fit for my business, like for example, if the conditions are not really success optimized, like for example, if the client refuses to give the access to the systems in business that we need to grow. I'm not talking about like invoicing systems or financial systems. I'm generally talking about, like, for example, access to the website, access to analytics to take a look what's going on, and so on and so forth. Normally, this is not really a solid ground for us to work together. And same stuff if we are talking about risky models, right? Like, for example, when the client wants my team commit to something for 12 months with no solid return on investment, so essentially just bet time and money into some sort of abstract potential win that we can have in the future, which is also something that is not really feasible at all. Or just generally being a bad fit, like for example, me not really synergizing with the person, me not really liking the values, my team not really liking the values of somebody. So I'm always transparent with people if I don't really feel that this is a fit. And this is all because of this huge sort of foundation that I got during my childhood, and my reflection on myself, and on the results of the actions throughout my life. And another thing, very often say no to potential clients that are definitely a good fit for me, but they are in a region that is being serviced by another client that I have, right? Because we have a 100% exclusivity guarantee, meaning that if we work with somebody in a specific area, we aren't allowed to work with anybody else in the specific area. Mostly because of the fact that we are working with a Google systems, and for HVAC, plumbing, and solar businesses that are focusing on residential and commercial clients, this is extremely important to not have the cannibalization with another business. And for me, it's also very important to not have any clients that potentially may interfere between together, which is a big thing, especially with organic systems. It's a big thing, and with paid systems as well. If you're trying to sort of compete, if you're trying to have two businesses that compete for the same keywords with their budgets, it's basically you can pretty much guarantee that some budget will be wasted automatically. So this is why I'm saying no all the time. And the lesson that I want, it's not really I want you to take home with you, but I just want to sort of reinforce for myself today, is in business, like in life, short-term wins mean nothing if you lose the long-term trust and that actually compounds. And this probably was the main sort of subconscious lesson that I managed to learn when I was younger, is basically that the reputation, no matter how bad the situation is or how good the situation is, the reputation can determine the outcome of the situation. And also you can actually create your own reputation, and the goodwill that you create and the trust that you have in your local community, in people that you want to serve, is extremely important. And this is just now ingrained in me. And I just really wanted to sort of reinforce this for myself. And if it's something that somebody found useful, it's absolutely amazing, right? I'm absolutely happy. I really wanted to have this more personal, because I feel like those kinds of values and principles aren't really created out of thin air, out of nothing. It's definitely there were definitely some points in life that resulted in me having them. And obviously, like, it's extremely important as well to mention that my family, they had some really good values as well that they managed to ingrain in me as well. Like, for example, focus on the quality of what you're doing, which is why I probably was very successful with cheating, because I was focused on the quality of how I do this stuff, and so on and so forth. This was just the thing that I wanted to share. If you have any thoughts about this, feel free to just leave a comment. I'm absolutely happy to discuss this. So this is why we have those values in business, and this is why we are successful with our clients. This is why we don't lose clients, zero clients lost, by the way, during the past 2.5 years, because of the results or values or communication. And yeah, okay. Cheers.